Good evening. This is All Sports with LD coming back at you with another YouTube post on my YouTube channel. Before I get started, please like, subscribe, comment. Well, tonight's result is exactly what I said. Kambosos didn't want this fight when I reviewed it early on, probably a month ago. Don't remember the exact date, but it's in the archives of my YouTube post. Remember, initially, Kambosos wanted to fight Lomachenko, and Lomachenko accepted the fight. The only reason why we got the Devin Haney versus George Kambosos fight is that Lomachenko pulled out to fight for his country in the war of Ukraine versus Russia. So at this point, Kambosos was pretty much forced to make this fight. And then you can see leading up to the fight, Kambosos did a lot of things that were out of character. All the antics that he says he was trying to get under Devin Haney's skin. And typically when a fighter does that, they're not confident that they can win this fight. So they have to try something to throw their opponent off their game. But Devin Haney was very calm, cool, collected the entire process. Because ultimately I think Devin Haney knew that he would beat Kambosos, and I believe George Kambosos knew it as well. So from the beginning of the fight, Devin Haney controlled the bout using his jab, a superior jab, and it threw Kambosos off. You can tell he didn't really know what to do with that jab. And all throughout the fight, he controlled the action with the jab. The jab to the head, jab to the stomach. And Kambosos didn't really know how to adjust to the jab. And pretty much Devin Haney followed him in the middle of the ring pretty much the entire fight. So Kambosos' team and himself didn't know how to adjust throughout the fight. So as it wore on, Devin Haney became more comfortable, and he began to catch the rhythm of Kambosos, knew what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, when he was going to throw his left or his right, and he took all of his weapons away. So as a result, you saw Kambosos from the very beginning of the fight. What I picked up is that he was looking to land that one shot. And typically in boxing, that never comes. You have to set up that one shot by starting with your jab, combinations, jab to the body. You got to set everything up. But he walked around pretty much the entire fight looking for that one shot, believing that he was a one-punch knockout artist. And as a result, you saw him falling behind with no real adjustments from himself or his team. And so as the fight wore on, you see Haney piled up points with the jab, his elusive footwork, also great defense. Kambosos did land some shots, but they really weren't very significant shots. There was nothing that bothered Haney too much. Most of the time, he was able to tie Kambosos up and prevent him from getting off of his shots. It was a total masterful performance, like I knew it would be. Devin Haney was just on a different level, and I saw that when I contrast the fights between Kambosos versus Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz. And one of the things I saw in the fight between Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos is Teofimo came right out of the gate, round one, trying to knock out Kambosos. And generally when that happens, a fighter comes out of round one trying to go for a first round knockout. That typically means that they actually didn't put enough training in. They're not in the best condition mentally and physically. And as the fight wore on, you can see that Teofimo Lopez was not in the best condition. And as we all witnessed, Kambosos clearly won that fight. In contrast to Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz, Devin Haney was in great shape. He stayed on his game plan for the most part, except getting hit with a good shot by Jojo Diaz, which hurt him a little bit, but he gathered himself and went on to win. I bring these two fights up as a contrast because, one, you can see one fighter in Devin Haney being ready and prepared for anything in the ring versus Teofimo Lopez, who was not well trained and ready for anything, and as a result, he lost his title to Kambosos. Don't get me wrong, Kambosos is a good fighter, but even in the fight against Teofimo Lopez, you notice that there were certain things that, as a fighter, if you put him against Devin Haney, he couldn't do that, what he did to Teofimo Lopez, because again, Lopez was not in great shape, mentally or physically. So it looked as though Kambosos was the better fighter that night, and he was. But that didn't mean he could beat Devin Haney. And it was interesting to me that he talked about fighting Devin Haney, but then bypassed Haney to fight Lomachenko. Because again, Lomachenko has already lost 2 fights. It's on record as to how to beat Lomachenko. Whereas with Devin Haney, when Kambosos saw Devin Haney fight, it was very apparent he wasn't going to fight him. And the only reason why we got this fight is because Lomachenko pulled out. So as a result, you see the outcome in this fight where Haney, being a more skilled, talented boxer, was head and shoulders above Kambosos, because basically one of the things that you find with sometimes, not most fighters, when they become champion, they forget about the work that they put in to get the belts and win the belts. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I'm champion now, and everything comes easy. Well, as champion, you still have to work hard. You still have to do the things, you have to put in the work in the gym to make sure that you can defend your titles. And it was clear Kambosos didn't have much to offer other than the one big shot he was looking to land, and it just never came throughout the fight. And with a more skilled, talented boxer, you cannot afford to just wait for that one punch, because it almost never happens. So I thought it was a great fight for Devin Haney. I knew it was going to go this route. Devin Haney is just heads and shoulders above, Kambosos. He's just a better fighter all around. There's a rematch clause in the contract. Personally, in my opinion, I don't want to see the fight again because it's going to be a duplicate of what we saw tonight. Maybe even worse. Maybe Haney gets a knockout the next time around. I just don't see any adjustments that Kambosos can make. Because the reality is this: if there were adjustments that he could make, he would have made it during the fight, or his team would have suggested the adjustment during the fight. But they had no answer for Devin Haney. And this is how I know it's going to be a duplicate of this first fight. Because true champions and those who put in the work, those who are gym rats, see, they will make the adjustments during the fight. And you saw Cambiaso pretty much from round 1 through round 12, he was waiting for that one big shot, which never came. So rounds 1 through 12, he didn't make any adjustments, nor did his team suggest any adjustments. They were just looking for that home run shot the whole time, and it never materialized. So, great win for Devin Haney. Like I said, there's supposed to be a rematch clause in the contract. I'd rather not see the rematch, but we'll see what happens. All right, until next time, this is what I have. Have a good one.